Discussion on vaccine acquisition with allies of St. Kitts and Nevis is continuing as supplies pledged under the COVAX facility and donations so far are not enough to achieve herd immunity, said Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris during his March 2021 press conference. On 18 September 2020, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis paid into the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization an amount of US $223,660 to enable the Federation to benefit from early access to vaccines under the COVAX facility. The participation in COVAX will provide the Federation with 21,600 doses, but even with 22,000 doses in donations from India and Dominica, the number of doses falls very short of the goal of achieving herd immunity with 70% of the population vaccinated. As a consequence, he said, additional sources of vaccines are being sought.
I am not at liberty to disclose right now all the initiatives that have been taken to bring additional vaccines to us. But up to yesterday, we were engaging diplomatically with allies and other countries to secure more vaccine. Indeed, on Friday, when we met at the OECD heads level, and we had the privilege of meeting with Dr. Tejas of the WHO, one of the specific asks that we made of him was for him to make certain outreach on behalf of the entire Caribbean, the OECS and the rest of CARICOM, to procure additional vaccines. We had certain information as to some specific areas from which they could be procured, and we invited him to pursue them. In my opening remarks, I said that he had responded to say that he had made those overtures and remained cautiously optimistic.
Prime Minister Harris said requests are also being made to the COVAX facility on behalf of the CARICOM region to increase the number of vaccines and doses available to the Caribbean community. Glenn Barrett, SKN Newsline. In a March tourism stakeholders meeting, the Chief Executive Officer of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority said everyone in the sector is hurting and will take vaccination to fully reopen for business. But CEO Raquel Brown was disappointed in the number of persons working in the sector that have been vaccinated. She said of the number of persons vaccinated so far, less than 10% were employed in the tourism sector. She told the audience that full reopening will not occur in this manner.
It cannot work without everyone in the tourism industry who is going to interact with crews not vaccinated. And I say that if we think of it as a struggle, achieving 70% to protect everyone, if we don't have the person serving the cruise lines protected, and then you go home and you interact with your family, you're not protected, your family is not protected, then we can have a situation where we have community spread. It's an all circle, it's an all people approach. We cannot leave out one person out of the tourism industry. So when you get vaccinated, it is your job for your family or for your business team members to also get vaccinated.
Taking questions, comments and suggestions from stakeholders at the meeting, Brown said that delays in getting vaccinated only means more delays for business activity.
We have reopened, but everyone in this room is hurting because you're from the private sector. We've gone through a very rough period. Some of you may not even be open, and you're wondering if you can make it to be open. We have vaccination. We have done at the Tourism Authority, we've done the training, we've done the protocols. Those are the minimum, but the vaccine puts the layer on it to protect us. So I say, without the vaccine and without your business and without your team, without your staff, without your families vaccinated, it is only going to delay.
Consistent message across all economic sectors is for persons to take the vaccine against COVID-19. Glenn Barrett, SKN Newsline. Premier Mark Brantley rejected criticism of the Nevis Island administration because MSR Media, the company making major films on Nevis, will do some film shoots on St. Kitts. Premier Brantley reminded listeners to his March press conference that even in tourism, residents of both islands have a track record of traveling back and forth doing work. This kind of scenario is to be viewed as normal and right, he said, because we are a single country, St. Kitts and Nevis.
I think it is important that we start to understand that development that is meaningful is national development. And that good things happening on the island of St. Kitts translate into good things happening in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And the reverse is true. That good things happening on the island of Nevis translates into good things happening in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We must see our country as one country. And wherever opportunities are, if they are in St. Kitts, in the mountains of Phillips's, anybody should be able to go there and access those opportunities. And if they are in Nevis, in the mountains of Rollins, anybody should be able to go there and access, because it's your country. It's your country. And I am proud that Nevis has demonstrated the type of leadership that is necessary in this difficult time to bring a brand new industry here. And so yesterday was historic because we, in passing the Nevis Film Industry Ordinance, took the first step in the history of this country to create a legislative framework for film industry.
In attracting MSR Media with the arrangement to produce 6 movies on Nevis and to establish a training academy on Nevis, the Nevis Island administration further cemented the environment for the new industry through new legislation in the Nevis Island Assembly. Glenn Barrett, SKN Newsline.
Coach of the St. Kitts and Nevis national men's team, Leo Nieva, had high commendation for his players and members of the technical team after the Sugar Boys delivered a 1-0 victory over Puerto Rico in World Cup qualifiers in the Dominican Republic Wednesday. Coach Nieva said the team played hard, simple and efficient football. Due to COVID protocols with little training time and without international friendly games, we tried to focus on the tactical part to set up a solid and compact team looking to play on the opponent's mistake to surprise them, Coach Nieva said in a short written comment after the match. He said he's very satisfied with the efforts of all the staff as well as the commitment and feedback from the players on the field. Striker Vince Roy Nelson scored the lone goal of the match towards the end of the first half. This is St. Kitts and Nevis' 4th clean sheet in the last 5 meetings with Puerto Rico in all competitions. The Sugar Boys next play the Bahamas in that country at 7 p.m. Saturday. A second win would do well for St. Kitts and Nevis as it continues its campaign to qualify for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Elliot's Funeral Parlor is the first licensed embalmer in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have a friendly and professional staff. At Elliot's Funeral Parlor, we offer a wide range of packages from $6,500, homegoing service at chapel, locally made caskets, tailoring of outfit for deceased of your choice, wake, overnight with slideshow, funeral, death announcement, obituary, booklets, family pin-ons, memorial books, preparation of funeral arrangements, wreath, fresh and artificial, caskets, live streaming, vaults, tombstone, grave marker, international shipping, import and export, mounted oversized ultimate 1,000 pounds body lift, 24 hours removal and transportation services, walk-in refrigerator unit for temperature-controlled body storage, prep room with embalming station, and an assortment of embalming fluids and accessories, a mortician, cosmetologist, or restorative makeup artist. For further information, call 469-3298, 664-2007, or 660-0186. Elliot's Funeral Parlor in Gingerland, Nevis, dedicated to those we serve. Football is back, and the St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association will be bringing you live football on its website, www.sknfa.com, with Premier League Live. Without fans in the stadium due to COVID-19 protocols, you can now watch every single Premier League match this season on www.sknfa.com and click on Live TV. Games are shown live on every match day with halftime and post-game shows. It's Premier League Live. Commentary, analysis, action. Never miss a game. Autoplus Car Wash, located on the College Street Gut, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Bring your car to Autoplus Car Wash to remove water stains, wiper marks. Get your doors, roof panel cleaned, seat floor mats, buffing, headlights, and engine wash. You get quality service at the best price at Autoplus Car Wash. They really care for your car. Call 765-5140 or visit them on the College Street Gut, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Autoplus Car Wash, where the service is number one.
Now, fishermen in Portland have mixed feelings about the most recent changes made by the government to its COVID-19 restrictions. The seafarers say changes allowing them greater freedom outside curfew hours are welcome, but they are afraid the shutdown for the next 3 weekends, including Easter, will hit them hard in the pockets. More in this report from Cody and Barrett.
A group of fishermen mend their nets before going to sea, while others clean up their catch. It's been a mixed week for them. Days ago, the government upgraded their status to allow them to operate outside the curfew hours. The fishermen say it was an important and a practical change because many of them have been suffering heavy losses during the curfew, including from thieves.
When we get time to go there, that means the man can take a pot them and drive a pot them when them feel like, Can go out and check how stuff them.
We have pots and always set them if we don't got a certain time to go and catch a fish. Whenever they pen, they drown, or if whenever they net leave and then catch on the net and the fisherman cannot go to sea, they will just spoil. And then we lose all the support that we would need to put things in place and bring in.
The fishermen say Friday, Saturday and Sunday are their best days in terms of sales. Another busy period for them is Easter, due in part to the extra demand for fish because of Jamaican tradition.
It's a tradition, and Lent, people do not to fool on the meat. You understand? So we have to push out an effort to deal with the people them when not eat the meat. You understand? So it's good for them and it's good for us also, because we make a money. You understand? And then keep them healthy.
But it just so happens that the lockdowns will impact 3 weekends, including Easter. So the fishermen are looking at new challenges.
The only problem we have is the people who buy the fish, them now can't out. We have a problem with that. Because we go and we catch the fish and we come with the fish. How it go sell?
Chester is a fisherman based in Port Antonio. He said something similar to the government-driven e-commerce national delivery system ENDS could help them if implemented correctly.
The customer them we don't have all of them number. Like we call them to deliver the fish to them. You understand? Because if we can't get to them, depends on which part them live. Because some people might come from Manchineel, St. Margaret's Bay, them now you can't go there to deliver fish, you not go gain anything. But it's gas expense that.
Cody and Barrett, TVJ News.
The region may be able to effectively respond to COVID-19, but there is still disparity in our dealings with each other. Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Education, Dr. Heather Katu, offered this opinion during the opening ceremony of the University of the West Indies annual History Fest.
Our communities are well on their way to beating a pandemic. Yet, we still struggle with decolonization issues. This is the third decade of the 21st century. We have gotten an A grade in terms of controlling the spread of the pandemic.
Dr. Katu added, after passing this harder exam, societies are receiving a failing grade in the equitable distribution of vaccines. She insisted, however, the region must address this issue.
The inequity, which I think we are all guilty of having learned to live with, can no longer be tolerated and ignored.
The University of the West Indies History Fest 2021 has engaged local and regional communities on historical outbreaks in the region.
They escaped carrying whatever they could from their battered homes. 4,000 Venezuelans are seeking shelter in Colombia's border town, Arauquita, following days of clashes and bombings between Venezuela's military and a Colombian armed rebel group. Many say the Venezuelan soldiers were abusive during the attack.
It was very painful to see how the soldiers aimed a gun at a mother. The government is taking away our lives. In one house, a grandfather died, an 8-year-old boy died, a 9-year-old girl and her mom. The situation was terrible.
Among the refugees are indigenous people, children, seniors and sick people. They're being hosted in makeshift camps that are overwhelming the capacity of this small town to help them. And more arrive every day.
In the last 36 hours, another 800 people arrived and have been screened, but our capacity to respond to this wave of migration, this humanitarian displacement, has already been exceeded.
These are the few available pictures of the aftermath of one of the attacks inside Venezuela. The Venezuelan government says 2 soldiers died in the operation and at least 32 people were arrested, blaming Colombia for its failure to control the armed groups operating at the border.
Our Bolivarian military forces are hitting drug trafficking organizations that are useful to the Colombian government and the North American empire in their continued assault on Venezuela.
A river separates the two countries that have cut diplomatic relationships in 2019. The Colombian government has repeatedly accused Venezuela of harboring in their territory residual rebel groups from Colombia, such as the ELN and dissidents of the former FARC. But some experts believe that these latest fightings show that the relationship between Venezuela and at least some of these groups is now breaking down.
Old and new guerrilla groups are operating in Venezuela, fighting to control coltan mining, gold and cocaine trafficking. The fact that they're fighting each other, recruiting children and threatening people has broken a fragile balance, and the Venezuelan government's tolerance of their activities which forced them to intervene.
Colombia announced it has increased the number of troops at the border to 2,000. Locals say clashes continue on the Venezuelan side in an escalation that promises to further inflame tensions in an already volatile situation. Alessandro Ampietti, Al Jazeera, Bogotá.
Immigration was a major focus in President Joe Biden's news conference, the first one since he came into office. Biden rejected the perception that he is seen as soft on the issue, prompting the surge of Central American migrants crossing into the U.S. from Mexico.
That's why they're coming, because no, Biden's a good guy. Truth of the matter is, nothing has changed. As many people came, 28% increase in children to the border in my administration, 31% in the last year in 2019 before the pandemic in the Trump administration.
Earlier this week, Biden appointed Vice President Kamala Harris to lead efforts to address root causes of the migrant surge. On the foreign policy front, the president announced the United States is unlikely to meet its May 1st deadline to withdraw troops from Afghanistan. He did not offer a firm timeline.
How and in what circumstances do we meet that agreement that was made by President Trump to leave under a deal that looks like it's not being able to be worked out to begin with? How's that done? But we are not staying a long time.
With the Afghan conflict escalating in recent years, the announcement was not a surprise to some observers.
But the fact was that when the Biden administration took place, we had made essentially zero progress, both in ending the fighting, which had grown more intense, and defining a single aspect of the peace process.
The U.S. leader also addressed North Korea's recent launch of 2 short-range ballistic missiles off its east coast, calling it a violation of a United Nations resolution.
There will be responses if they choose to escalate. We will respond accordingly. but I'm also prepared for some form of diplomacy.
President Biden also said he will work with allies to insist that his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping follows international rules.
What I've told him in person on several occasions, that we're not looking for confrontation, although we know there will be steep competition.
I thought his discussion of China focused on something that really will be a shift, moving away from simply confrontation in trade and a military buildup to some kind of relationship which could possibly bound the competition.
The president also announced he would double his vaccine goals to 200 million doses in his first 100 days, and that he expects to seek a second term in 2024 with Vice President Kamala Harris again as his running mate.
But folks, I'm going.
He spent just over an hour fielding tough questions. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
Stay abreast with news on St. Martin with SMN News. Visit www.smn-news.com for up-to-date news, scoops, opinions, and hard-hitting facts. SMN News, we tell it like it is. Visit our website www.smn-news.com.
It's the new and improved SKN Newsline Android mobile app. With the SKN Newsline app, you can watch your news reports, the SKN Newsline newscast, sports, special features, and so much more. You can also send us a WhatsApp or call us directly. Go in the Google Play Store, search SKN Newsline, and download the app today. The SKN Newsline mobile app. News on the go.